Welcome to the Captain's Run. All of our listeners, however, wherever you're tuning in, whether it's 1170 SEN in Sydney, 1620 SEN on the Gold Coast, or 1053 in Brisbane. Queensland, listen via SENQ on DAB+, or you can listen live on the SEN app. Download the SEN app at the App Store or Google Play Store, or you can listen belatedly on the podcast, The Captain's Run, on Apple or Spotify. Search it. Search it. Smithy?
Yeah.
I was going to say, I don't know if you will ever say this, but did you have some empathy for Bellyache after having to actually coach once?
I can understand now why now Craig Bellamy and all of his assistants do so much preparation on the opposition.
Yeah.
Because when you're sitting up in the box on game day and looking down, like when you've seen things from, individual players or the team, the way they play their footy, if you've seen that during the week but you haven't sort of told your team what to expect, you're sort of sitting there thinking, oh, geez, I wish I showed them that.
Yeah.
If something that they're quite good at, like a set play, or an individual's got like a strength of their game that you want to make your team aware of, and you haven't, and then that comes back to bite you. You know what I mean? Sitting there, I can understand now why Craig Bellamy does so much work on the opposition, because when he does that, all of his players are aware of everything that's coming their way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a perfect example of that is if you had have known. Not to say that you could have known that it would happen, but let's assume that Cleary and Cook have done that pass before on that try where they throw that really quick pass straight to Cleary. If you had done video on that, you could have said, you could have told the centre, tipped him up, or the three, and probably the centre, and just said, mate, as soon as you see Cleary a bit wider, just shoot straight at him.
Go get him.
And that's the beauty of video.
Yes.
The beauty of video. But, mate, speaking of New South Wales...
Oh, there's a bit going on.
Oh, there's a lot going on. I mean, I get it. I know it's Origin and there's a lot of tense energy of, oh, my God, if we lose this next one, the series is over.
Yes.
But in saying that, it was a really, really close game of footy.
Well, they weren't that far off.
Oh, mate.
And most Origins are like that. There's been a few blowouts of recent times, but most Origins are decided by a try or less. Yeah. I think there's some crazy stat, if you want to go look it up, but over the period of time that Origin's been played since 1980, there's very little that separates both teams. Like the points differential, it's crazy. Like it's less than 30 points over that period of time.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane.
So most matches that Queensland and New South Wales are involved in, they're decided by a small margin. Yeah. And the game one was another example of that, where you look at the last play of the game, Isaiah Yeo was
30 centimetres.
Inches away from scoring, and then Cleary would knock that over with his eyes shut. Yeah, and then you go to golden point. So they're not that far off. Mate, it's not that far off. And that's what makes Origin so great. But is it surprising to hear some of the things coming out of New South Wales? Probably not. And that's not having a dig at them. It's just, I don't know, even when I was playing, it was a bit of a trend where, if they lost one, there was calls for changes, and I'm not saying that's from internally, from their footy team. Fans. Just the noise around with media and Blues fans and whatnot. They've got a good footy side. Do they need to make changes? I don't know. Minimal. Yeah. Minimal. Yeah. To as we said, it was such a close game of footy that, one moment in that game that goes New South Wales' way, that might be a result for them by 6 points. Yeah. The result might have gone their way. Yeah. That's how close it was.
Yeah. Oh, mate, absolutely. And I agree with you that I get it. I understand it. New South Wales, very passionate about Origin. But I would probably go the same route of minimal changes, because I kind of feel like Freddie has absolutely done it before. We have to remember he's done it before. He's literally back-to-back at the moment. He's back-to-back at the moment. And I think New South Wales, in my opinion, have to trust that they had the right plan going into game one. There's just a few tweaks, and I'll give my tweaks that I would give, and then maybe you just speak about if that is something that makes sense.
Okay.
I probably would start Cam Murray. Now, I know Greg Alexander has come out and said that they didn't start Cam Murray because they didn't think he'd go 80 because he hadn't played much footy. He only played one game.
Yep. That's fair enough. Yep.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I'm still interested in why they named him, though. If they knew that, why didn't they just put him on the bench and say exactly what they said after the game? But anyway, it's clearly the reason he said it. So I would start him. Now, the two bench spots, that's probably... Two bench spots, and probably, unfortunately, Tarek Sims, I would probably consider moving someone in that's in current good form and club. Like I know Sims has been.
Like a what, Crichton?
Like an Angus Crichton or a Tyson Frizzell.
Okay.
So,
well, Frizzell was there.
Yeah, he was
in the squad.
Yes.
Extended bench or whatever.
Yeah, and on the bench, the only two positions I would say that are in a bit of pressure would probably be the 14 with Crichton, but that's Stephen Crichton.
Yep.
And that's not because he's not a good player at all. It's more...
It's the makeup of the 17.
Yes, exactly. And also I thought Queensland did such a good... their bench was perfect. It was perfect. Not to put the mock on it, touch wood.
No, touch wood.
But the tactics were perfect. And I think that New South Wales, even though I hope their tactics aren't as good as ours, but I think that would be the way to go, is a similar, having a 14 that is a real, genuine 14 off the bench.
Yeah, well, there's been a bit of talk about maybe adding Api Coruscant as a utility on the bench to maybe give Cookie a spell. But, I actually thought Damien Cook was pretty strong. I thought he's dangerous.
54 tackles, 0 misses.
Yeah, so he was tireless in defence, but with the footy, particularly early in the match, he made a lot of pretty strong inroads into the Queensland defensive line.
Yeah.
And that was off the back of a couple of really strong carries from their forwards. But is that the way for New South Wales to go? It's a bit of a different setup for Queensland because Ben Hunt, he's not a dummy half.
Yeah. Normally.
Traditionally.
Yeah.
He's not a dummy half, although he's played a fair bit of... He's a bit like...
So good at it.
Joey Johns. Not comparing...
Is that something crazy? You want to hear something crazy?
Yeah, go on.
We've got a text here.
Right.
From a bloke named Andrew. Now, you tell me whether it's Joey. Hi, gents. Google has stopped Matty Johns adding mayonnaise to his stories. Andrew from Newcastle. Now, that may be Joey, that may not be Joey.
Yeah. Well, I think that... Yeah, that could possibly be him. Yeah. Good on you, Joey. Or Andrew, whichever one it is.
Andrew from Newcastle.
Yeah. I've lost my thought now. Sorry, comparing Honey to Joey.
Yeah.
Right? So not saying that they're the same player and whatnot, but they're both halfbacks. They played a fair bit of rep footy in the 9 jersey. So that's a little bit different to what Damien Cook and Api Coruscant provide. They're both 9s.
Yeah, very true.
So it's a little bit of a different setup. But yeah, there's some decisions to be made for Brad Fittler and his selection team, whoever's putting together their side for game 2. Yeah, so...
what about for yourself?
Yep.
You were an 80-minute hooker. Let's say, and obviously if Mal or whoever came to you and said, mate, we've got this tactic, we want to... How much does that affect the flow of your game by being brought off 20 to 30 minutes in? Because you were so good at doing things in the first 20 that ddidn't pay off until last
later.
20. How much does that affect the flow of your game?
Yeah, a little bit, because, again, I'm a much different... I was a much different dummy half to, say, like a Damien Cook or a Harry Grant. Yeah, those guys are explosive. They're runners. You know what I mean? That's what they base their game on. Whereas, as you said, a lot of the work that I tried to implement for the footy side was trying to graft out a win and try to place the team in a position where we're really strong at the back end of the game.
Yeah.
And so the way I played wasn't... From the first minute to the last minute, it wasn't overly different because I didn't have that explosive speed that those players I just spoke about.
We watched some highlights here on the TV.
Well,
Smithy, as a young fella, he looked pretty explosive to me, mate.
Mate, that's 2003. Well, there's a replay on it at the moment. Melbourne Storm v Broncos, 2003. That was probably, I'm about 15 games into my career there, Campy, so I'm pretty fresh. I'm feeling pretty good. The legs are pretty fresh. But so I felt as though it took away the momentum that I was trying to build, not only in my game but for the team as well, because I was that different style of player. And I come off a couple of times early in my career with Origin, but that was probably more around my capacity to play out 80 minutes in those early games.
Yeah.
Although majority, and I'm talking, maybe 2 or 3 times I come off.
Yeah.
That might even be a stretch. It might have been a couple of times. I know I come off in my first game.
Okay.
With about 4 or 5 minutes to go.
That's a breather.
So that was real. I didn't spend a whole heap of time on the bench. It was just because of the style of footy that I played. But yeah, like this. It's so much. It's faster, mate. It's so much faster now, and we're lucky to have 2 guys like Ben Hunt and Harry Grant who can share that role, and they actually complement each other with the way they play.
So well. Yeah. The only reason why I ask is because the concern, I guess, for New South Wales, and you've kind of alluded to it, is Cookie's an 80-minute player at the moment, and played plenty of 80-minute games at New South Wales, and you could argue Appy's probably an 80-minute player too.
Oh, he is.
And so. You're right. They are in a bit of a different situation to Queensland, where Harry is an 80-minute player to a degree. I think he's still, even at clubs, sometimes he gets brought off sometimes.
Yeah, he does.
And he's still really early in his career, whereas those 2 boys are a bit further along.
Yeah, and the big one for Queensland is that, Ben Hunt, he provides that utility value where he can play in the halves, and he can play a bit of that, sort of 13, that link role in the middle as well. So. Not saying that sort of Appy and Damien Cook can't do that. I just think that there's probably, as far as utility value goes, he's probably the best sort of utility in it or available for Origin at the moment, Ben Hunt.
Very true, very true. We've got a text here. Morning, the GOAT and Smithy. Just a quick one. Thoughts on Burton to centre for Staggs, leaving Crichton at 14 for his versatility. He's unlucky for Staggs, but Burton's kicking game could come in handy if Queensland managed to negate Cleary again, and he could cover multiple positions too. I don't mind that. I don't mind it. What do you think about that one, Smithy?
I'm not sure. It's Oh, look, there's no doubt that Matt Burton, he's a wonderful player, and he's still starting out. He's only just starting to get going in his career.
Yep.
I'm not sure whether they'd take a punt on a rookie.
In a game two.
And again, like you got to let's put things in perspective here. Like this is do or die for New South Wales. They need to get this right.
Yeah.
They need to get their selection right. They need to get their preparation right, because if they drop this one, the series is gone before it even gets to Brisbane.
Holy.
So that I guess that's why there's so much talk at the moment about who will be pulling on a Blues jumper in game 2 is because they haven't been in this situation for a little bit. Like last year, they won the first 2 comfortably. Well, comfortably.
With the community that listens to Captain's Run, give them an insight into, you've been in plenty of series where you've lost game 1.
Yeah.
What is, because like the tension must be pretty
it's
palpable.
Huge. Yeah.
What's it like in camp?
Oh, it's backs to the wall. And I think for through that period of time where we were quite successful, I'm not sure exactly how many the first games we dropped.
Yeah, okay.
But I don't know. We always had this sort of air of confidence, not arrogance, just confidence that we knew exactly what went wrong in game 1. We had the ability to actually identify whether something with our preparation wasn't quite right. Things that we'd done during the game that we could have been better at, and areas that we needed to focus on in that preparation for game 2 that we needed to be better at to give us an opportunity to win. A little bit different pre 2006, and I say that my first game was game 3. New South Wales had already won the series.
Yeah,
so for me as a first gamer, there wasn't really a whole lot of pressure on me to go out and play.
It sucks as a Queenslander, but it's also almost like for you personally the perfect time to
it was.
Well, you just enjoy it.
Yeah, and I played like 14 games or something of first grade, so I think
oh my god,
it was a selection. Yeah, it was a selection through. I was really fortunate. PJ Marsh, he was the Maroons' number 9. He hurt his neck after round 1, after the first game.
PJ Marsh.
They then called him Michael Crocker. And
Mickey Crocker?
Yeah. So Michael Crocker and and Scotty Sattler, they shared the role of dummy half in game 2, and we got beaten. So then I think they just went, oh well, the series is gone for us. We'll give this young fella a go down in Melbourne, see what he's got. And then so I come in a situation where there's always pressure when you play a State of Origin. You want to go out there and play well and not let anyone down, but I guess in that situation, there's less pressure than going into, say, a game 1 or a game 2 when the series is on the line. Either way, so that's where that was at. But then, 2004 and 2005, they both went to deciders in those years. And I just, as you mentioned before, like losing game 1, going into game 2, there's a lot more pressure, and you think about it every day. You think about your preparation and you think about the game and everything hinges on what you do during the week. And have we got this right? Have we got that right? Is this the right team? Sometimes a little bit of doubt sneaks in about, are we good enough? Are we, and they're the things you got to deal with. And again, I go back to, talking about that's why Origin is so special and makes it so unique in our sport, is because there's no pressure cooker like it. For everyone involved, for the players, for the coaches,
as a fan,
the fans.
I can feel it as a fan. I'm like, boys, can we just get this game 2?
And we're still a week and a half away. And have a look at us.
Far out, incredible. We're going to head to a break, but make sure to call in, ask Smithy all your questions, including Origin ones. 1300 Sorry, not 1300. I keep getting this wrong. The producer keeps telling me it's 1300 01 1170, or text 0457 736 736, and we'll see you on the other side. Back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith and myself. Thanks to the SEN app. Download it today for free in the SEN App Store and listen anywhere, anytime. Now, we've got some text here, Smithy. A lot of text. Boys, I just don't get it. Surely Nico is straight into that 14 jersey, but I'll be happy if he's not. Go Queensland. Benji in Melbourne.
Yeah, I agree with you, Benji. Well, we said that in the lead-up, didn't we?
Yeah.
In the Captain's Run to game 1. We just thought Nico was going to be 14. I see that he ran out with the football side in game 1. He was out on the field lining up for the anthem, so he must have been 18th or 19th man.
Yes, 18th or 19th.
So, I think he might be there.
Okay.
Let's not jump the gun here. I think he might be there for game 2.
And this is just, a very casual observing New South Wales game. I do believe that if Nico Hines was on the field, because basically what happened is Queensland upset Cleary's rhythm. Every single time. As soon as he got into rhythm, boom, someone was shot out of the line. Pressure. So if they had Hines on the field, you could have almost used Cleary as a decoy and said, Hines, I want for the next 10 minutes, you take control of the side. Cleary, get on the other side of the ruck and just be a decoy.
Well, not even a decoy. You're just adding another threat. And so if he entered the field, straight away, Queensland players are going, well, this bloke's in good form. We need to look out for, A, B and C part of his game. So, and that sort of takes away from Cleary. But, I was really surprised that he wasn't there. The other opposition thought otherwise and thought the 17 that they picked was their best chance to go and play well and win that first game. So, again, interesting to see what they come up with for game 2. But from a Queenslander's point of view, and I know we need to discuss it here, but I know from the players and from Bill Slater's point of view, it's not a concern. Particularly when you win game 1, you just need to concentrate on yourself. And I'm sure a lot of the Queensland players, they've been congratulated and they've been getting a lot of pats on the back over the last sort of week and a half. Particularly those boys playing for the Cowboys and the Broncos, who have been continuing to win with their club footy. The most important thing to remember for those players is that winning game 1 doesn't mean you've won the series. And their mindset needs to be the job's not done. The job is far from done. This is a best of 3, and there's 2 games remaining. And if you don't show up with the right attitude, in particular, the most important part of it is your attitude, then New South Wales can win the next game, and then they've got a shot at winning the series. So if you're going to place an importance on any match in this series now, it's not about going home and playing well in Brisbane for Game 3. It's about putting your best game forward right now for Game 2.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's a really, really interesting spot the Queensland find themselves in because you don't want to become complacent. Don't even think about Game 3.
You know what? There's no reason for Queensland to be complacent.
No, not at all.
Think that, we'll just turn up and win again because we spoke about how close Game 1 was. Look back only 12 months ago and, they were, I'll put this bluntly, they were embarrassed by New South Wales.
Yeah.
And many of those players that did that, great job for New South Wales last year, they're playing again this year. So there's absolutely no reason for Queensland to be complacent or feel comfortable at all.
Absolutely. Now, hey, his goatness and some random ex-Melbourne hooker.
I love these, eh? Love them.
The internet's the only place where you can say these kind of things to the goats.
Yes. I like it.
Okay, what about Scotty Drinkwater? Sorry, Scotty Bloke in the 14. What Cameron from Logan?
That's
really
not me, and that's not me.
That's not you. Didn't text in.
I'm Cameron, and I am from Logan, but I didn't text our own show. No. Look, again, Scott Drinkwater in tremendous form for the Cowboys, has been ever since he took that number 1 jersey from an injured Hammer. Not sure. Yeah, I don't know. I still feel as though, and I'm not trying to get Nico Hines a jersey here because he is a great player, but I just feel that he's better suited to a role on the bench than what a Scotty Drinkwater would be.
And
I'm not. That's not a knock on Scott Drinkwater because, as I said, like he's probably in career best form right now.
He's so silky,
and a huge reason as to why Cowboys are placed third on the ladder.
Absolutely, yeah. Look, I will say though that the good thing about Drinkwater, and he should take a lot of pride in this, is his form has forced his name into the conversation to a degree.
Well, that's right. Like if you've got goals, as I'd like to think every player does, once they sort of cement their spot in a NRL side, goals to be a representative player, and that should be what you should be going for, is that you give selectors of state of origin teams or international teams, whatever representative team it is, give them a reason to talk about your name. Give them a reason to have your name in a conversation about being part of those representative sides, and certainly, Drink, he's done that this year.
Absolutely. Now, we're going to head to a break, but don't forget, we're on 1170 in Sydney, SEN 1620 on the Gold Coast, 1053 in Brisbane, and soon via 693 SENQ. That's 693 SENQ. We're going to head to the break. After the break, we're going to talk about eligibility. Some boys, are they going to play for Tonga, not play for Tonga? It's going to be a great chat. We'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith and myself, thanks to SEN 1170 in Sydney, SEN 1620 on the Gold Coast, 1053 in Brisbane, and soon via 693 SENQ.
And Kempy, make sure we text and calls keep coming in. We got a couple of prizes we give away every week. $50 voucher to Schnitz.
Oh wow!
Schnitties, the best chicken schnitties you'll find is at Schnitz.
Seriously,
are we getting some today?
Surely,
Tom.
Surely,
Tommy, can you hear us out there? Surely he's organised it.
I mean,
he just said no.
He said no.
We're not getting it.
Wow.
He said sorry though, so we'll forgive him this week. And then also TaylorMade. So if you're into your golf, there's a TaylorMade pack. You get a dozen TP5 golf balls plus a Tour Radar hat. Love TaylorMade.
Mate, love it. It's a ball that beats the first ball.
It is.
It's a ball that beats the first ball.
So it should be one. We try and work this out every week, but we won't get stuck up on it. Anyway.
But now, Tony Staggs and Daniel Tupou have notified Brad Fittler that they will represent the Blues if selected for Game 2 in Perth next Sunday.
Wow.
If
they're not selected, they're then
Tonga.
They'll play for Tonga.
That's what I gather from the reports.
Yes.
Do you think it is an issue having State of Origin and International Rugby League on the same weekend?
I like how we have a rep weekend. I think the issue we have is that we have players eligible for both, and now we find ourselves in that position where we're sort of asking the question, who are you going to play for? That's the issue I think that we have.
Okay.
I think what should be, and look, no, I'm not trying to say we're going to restrict or Australian players from representing, their countries of choice. Some players are eligible for multiple countries.
Yep.
Due to their heritage. But I think to protect what is state of origin, the showcase of it, I think we need to determine whether a player is available for the entire series or not.
Yeah.
If we're going to have other representative games, particularly internationals, in the middle of an origin series. So if you're available for New South Wales or Queensland, then you need to be available for every game.
Yeah.
And I understand this is a World Cup year, and that say you're a player that's eligible to play for either New South Wales or Queensland, but then also at the end of the year, if you're not selected for Australia, you can then represent another nation.
Yeah.
That's fine. I completely get that, because we want the international game to be as strong as possible. But while State of Origin's on, I think if you're available for game one, you need to be available for all three.
Yeah.
I don't know what are your thoughts on that?
No, I totally agree. And I know it's really tough because our game has far more Polynesian boys and, boys from
it's multicultural,
yeah,
isn't it?
It's a multicultural game, where men and women. I totally get that the landscape is changing, but I do think that it does hurt Origin a little bit when you're discussing this in the middle of, like, do you want to play for New South Wales, or do you want to play for Tonga or Samoa or Fiji or whatever it is. I do believe at the start of Origin, you should say, this is who I'm playing for, whether it's your country of your heritage or whether it's New South Wales or Queensland, and you just take it out of everyone's hands as well. You make it's rather than, for example, like, let's say it's game 3 or something, and you've already won the series. You may go, you know what, we won the series, I'll go. There's so many things that can come into play. So
yes, that's right.
I like the rep round. I think it's a great idea. So good to showcase the international game close to Origin and have a whole weekend. I love that idea.
I agree.
But I agree with you. I think you should choose at the start and say, this is what I want to represent.
Yep.
And then go from there. Because it would be pretty strange, like, if players were, and respect to them, they can make their choice.
Yeah.
But it would be a bit weird if they played game 1 and then.
And they're in that situation because the rules allow them to.
Yeah.
At the moment, Kempy. So maybe the NRL and the Commission need to have a look at that to say, well, what we're talking about right now is when Origin's on, are you available for game 1? If you are, then are you willing to say that you're available for all 3 games, no matter what?
Yeah.
No matter what other rep games are on, what are the internationals, if that's your country that you are eligible to represent, then you forego that opportunity because you've chosen to play State of Origin.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, I think what it does is, I think it just shows your commitment to your state. It shows your commitment to your teammates, and that they can feel comfortable that there's a guy here he's committed to all 3 matches.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can build combinations and more training, all that kind of stuff. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, and I agree with also your sentiment of, like, at the end of the year with World Cup, let's allow a bit of leniency and people to play because we're trying to build up the international game, but we don't want to hollow out Origin to so I totally agree, mate. I think that the end of the year, World Cup, it's super exciting, but we should select before.
Yep. And it's great to see, Katoni Staggs and Daniel Tupou announced that they are available. Yeah. So they played in game 1. And they've told Brad Fittler that if they are to be selected again like that, they are available for New South Wales.
Yeah.
So that's great to see.
Now, huge chat around Latrell Mitchell. Now, I know Jason Demetrio does not want to hear anything about Latrell going back. And you know what? It's understandable. Their season isn't going the best at the moment. There could be improvement.
Yep.
And that Latrell is their superstar. It would be like Penrith with Nathan Cleary. It would be like, who else? You got Chad Townsend, the Cowboys. And what I mean by they're key players. Yeah. And Latrell is a key player on that side. Yeah. So I can just understand why Demetrio is saying protecting Latrell and not asking too much of him, and it's unfair to put this pressure on him. But in my opinion, Latrell is a superstar.
Yes. So you'd throw him in?
No. I would consider it. I would consider it.
Oh, I think there's no doubt that Brad Fittler will be considering him.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
Well, Demetrios basically saying, don't even consider him. It's unfair.
Right.
Which is, I understand why he's doing that because he cares about his club and he cares about Latrell. But I don't. I think you consider him for sure.
I wonder if they could go as far as sitting down with Latrell. I know I'm talking about Jason Demetrio here and saying, mate, I think it's best for you that you're unavailable and make him unavailable for selection.
Ooh. Do you reckon Latrell would want to, I know Latrell,
well,
he's so competitive and
yeah.
he loves New South Wales, he loves Origin.
Yeah, mate, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But going off, sort of my time playing in club footy, I know Craig Bellamy would never do this.
Yeah.
He would have the conversation with the individual and say, do you think that's the best thing for you right now, having not played for, how long has Latrell not played for? 9 weeks?
10 weeks.
10 weeks.
He's only played 5 games all year.
10 weeks, has not played a single game of football for 10 weeks. He's just had COVID. Is that the best prep for a State of Origin? And not just that, is that the best thing for you moving forward for your season with the Rabbitohs? Now, you got to remember, as big as State of Origin is, where is your bread buttered?
Yeah, absolutely. Clubland.
Who pays you? So you got to remember that's a really big decision, because if he's to go away for New South Wales, and heaven forbid, I'm touching wood because he's a great player, I want to see him in our competition, that he was to hurt himself, re-injure that hamstring, and say he's ruled out for another 10 weeks.
Oh, mate.
How are you feeling as a Rabbitoh?
Oh, mate, you're devastated.
Rabbitoh teammate and Jason Demetrio, the coach.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So from the point of view when I was playing with Craig Bellamy, he would never say, mate, I'm ruling you out. You cannot play State of Origin.
Yeah.
But he would certainly have the conversation and say, mate, you need to strongly consider whether that's the right thing for you going forward for the rest of the season.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point. It's time for maybe Latrell to be a little bit selfish in the degree of like, yeah, okay, I can do this for New South Wales or whatever.
Yep.
But he puts himself in a position, if he goes out there and plays poorly, guess who everyone's going to blame?
Oh, it's
exactly. Latrell Mitchell.
Exactly.
It'll be his fault.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things for him to consider.
For sure.
And ultimately, it's going to be his choice.
Yeah, for sure.
So if Freddie's going to consider him and he asks the question, mate, will you play? At the end of the day, it's up to Latrell whether he says, yes, I'll play, or, mate, I don't feel I'm ready.
Mate, absolutely. I think that's the smartest way forward. Lucky you're a senior player and I was just a winger, because I would have said, Latrell, get out there, baby. Get out there. Let's go for glory. Let's put it all in. Put it all in, baby. Yeah. Then we're out there broke. So thanks for cooling our heads a bit there, Smithy.
That's all good, mate. That's all good.
Xavier Coates is confirmed out for game 2. Who do you feel is in the mix for his position?
Well, Murray Tuolungi, he was in the 22 for game 1, so that suggests that he's not far off. And knowing the message that was given to those guys from the coach. From Bill Slater was that, they weren't just extras. They weren't just sort of throw-ins just to come for a ride. Like they are there, and they need to be ready. And his form in clubland for the Cowboys has been outstanding. He's just exploded out of nowhere this year.
Yeah.
But then you throw in someone like a Corey Oates, who's been playing some pretty good
big
footy.
fella.
Playing some pretty good footy, has been there before. He knows what it's all about. The Hammer as well.
Yes.
So he was involved in the 22 also.
Yeah.
Has played Origin. And can play centre or wing.
A lot of X factor too.
Or fullback.
Yeah.
So he covers a lot of positions in that back line. So I'd probably say they are the 3. I'm not quite sure yet what is going to happen, but I'd say out of those 3, one of those boys will take that wing spot. And we're going to preview the round a little bit later in the show.
Yeah,
there's so many games. This is probably a little bit nerve wracking as a person involved with the coaching staff, just hoping that all the players get through safely this weekend, and that you have a healthy squad to pick from.
Now, in regards to the wing spot, there's been massive talk about a 4th option.
Okay.
He might be in this room. Just saying. Smithy. I'm just saying, if you need a winger, I'll do it, bro. I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it.
Are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go, and I won't even take a match payment.
Are you? How's your speed?
Look, I'm really good at positioning, so I can cover.
So you're faster up here than what you are in the leagues now,
Exactly, mate.
these days.
Exactly.
Hey?
Exactly.
So that's all you need, mate.
So just let Bill know if he needs a winger. I'm here. I'm ready, and I'll take no matches. Matter of fact, coaching staff can split some matches.
And I'll just text him. Bill Slater. Kempy said he is ready to go. Send.
That is. We're gonna head to a break. Get away from this absurdity. But this is. Thanks for listening on 1170 SEN. In Sydney, 1620 on the Gold Coast, 1053 in Brisbane, and soon via 693 SENQ. After the break, we're going to talk about Averillo's incredible intercept. We're going to talk about the round preview and plenty more stuff. Going to be taking your text, so we'll see you on the other side.
Time now to break down the best hands in the NRL. Thanks to Schnitz, the best hands in the schnitzel business.
Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith and myself. Thanks to SEN 1170 in Sydney, SEN 1620 on the Goldie, 1053 in Brisbane, soon via 693 SENQ. Now, the best hands segment, thanks to Schnitz. Honestly, thank you, Schnitz, for creating such beautiful schnitties. It makes my Thursday. It really does.
Do you like the burger or the wrap?
I like the wraps.
Yeah, wraps are nice.
They're so good, and they're you know what? They're efficient.
They're efficient.
They're efficient. You don't have to worry about things falling out. Rah. You just go boom.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
Yeah, I like a wrap. I like a burger too. I don't know.
do
It just
too.
depends on what mood you're in. I've seen you eat both.
It's
in the one sitting.
Yeah, true. That's a good point.
Plus chips and something else. There was something else in there. Yeah. Anyway, that's how good they are. Just all of it, lovely. 1 point for our best hands. Jake Averillo, he's intercepted to score the Bulldogs' second try of the match. How good were the doggies,
mate?
Was it the doggies really good, or
I thought it was the doggies really good.
How you going?
I mean, Para obviously didn't play to their best. They were trying to offload constantly and go for the big play. But I thought the doggies played at least top 8 footy level of rugby league.
Yeah, which it proves to everyone, including themselves, that they can do that.
Absolutely.
But the most important thing in this competition is consistency.
Yes.
Being able to do that, not just every week, but
I'll give you a stat about the doggies.
every moment of every game.
I'll give you a stat about the doggies. The last 4 weeks under Potter, they've scored more points than they did in the first 10 weeks before Potter.
Say that again.
In the last 4 weeks under Potter, they've scored more points than they did in the first 10 weeks before Potter.
There you go.
So, coaching matters too.
He's unlocked them.
Yeah, he must be gelling really well with the halves because that's what it seems like. Because Burton's game's gone to a new level.
Say they go on and play well for the rest of the season. Do you reckon he gets offered the job?
I think they should
have to
for sure. Like, why would you even if they go on a run? Anyway, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Yeah, we got to finish this off. 2 points while we're on the doggies theme, playing well. Their final try. What about the combos of offloads?
Mate, crazy
to score it. It just showed they were in a really good mood.
Offloads and kicks as well.
Good mood. Just thought let's just have a go, back ourselves.
Yeah,
and then they come up with another 4-pointer. Fantastic to watch. And last one, 3 points was Dallin Watene-Zelezniak's his miraculous try against the Sharkies.
Mate, how are wingers doing that these days?
Oh, I don't know.
Seriously?
Well, I don't know. I didn't score many tries. I should ask you, but
did
you score anyone those things?
I got baby hands. I can barely hold a ball. Seriously, how do they hold it in one hand so well?
Hands?
Yeah, I got baby hands, little T-Rex hands. Not really, just not big hands. I got normal side hands.
Like little dog paws?
Yeah, little dog paws. Catching me little dog paws. Well, so what I don't know, like the acrobat stuff, I think I could maybe not anymore, but it was more their ability to hold it in one hand and get the hit and still score. I know we used to do some drills of like holding in a ball and the players would kind of try to hit it. Anyway, we'll get to Denon's wingers tactics later in the show. We're going to break down the game of winger.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Smithy, we've got some texts here. Before we head to the break, what an hour it's been. It's been
an hour already.
Mate, it's flown by.
Wow.
Valentine Holmes was a different beast playing on the wing, the pick and swing.
He was.
Is there a thought that Valentine should stay on the pick and swing?
Well, possibly. And I mentioned those guys before. guys like the Hammer, like he can play in the centres also. So there's some options there for the Queensland selection team. But, yeah, I think he's playing really well in the centres. He's got great form there.
Yeah.
Remembering back, he's started his career. He's played majority of his Origin matches on the wing.
Yeah.
So
incredible too.
And he come up with, game one this year, come up with some insane defensive reads and some huge plays for Queensland to keep them in the game.
Yep.
Biggest one being that ball he cleaned up from a Tedesco kick. So, good thing about that is that he can play both positions and there's options.
Yeah.
There's options. So, yeah, possibility.
Now, we're going to head to the break. After the break, we're going to take a deep dive in Ciraldo. The Doggies and Tigers have met with him. They're even talking 5-year deals. That's the chatter.
5 years?
That's the chatter.
Yes.
But we're going to head to a break and we'll dive deep into the coaching merry-go-round after the break. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith and myself, not my smelf.
My smelf.
My smelf.
Schmelfy.
Smelfy. He's a good bloke, that bloke. He's related to Alfie. Remember, you can catch up on anything you missed from the show via our podcast, which you can download now on the SEN app, or you can follow on Spotify and Apple. You can just put in the Captain's Run, boom, she'll come up. Now, actually, Smithy, last week, bit of news.
Oh, hang on. What is it?
The Captain's Run was the number one sports podcast in the country on Apple.
Wow.
The number one.
Well,
So thank you to everyone.
Yeah, that's all due to our listeners. So thank you so much, guys, for tuning in.
Thank you.
Hope you're enjoying the show and we'll continue to deliver our best for you.
Now on to Wingers Tips by Dan and Kemp.
Yes. That'll be the highest rated show.
No way. But let's talk about Ciraldo. It's reaching fever pitch. Now, obviously, we understand his manager. He'd be in the media doing his work. It's all part of the game.
Yep.
But what we can confirm is both the Bulldogs and the Tigers have met with Ciraldo. Now, there is chat of a 5-year deal being offered to Ciraldo, but I've also read reports that that's actually Ciraldo's manager putting it forward to Tigers rather than Tigers putting it forward to them.
Okay. And he did have a meeting with them.
And he did have a meeting with them, yes. And Tigers have confirmed that.
Okay.
Now, where do you stand on this? Ciraldo, a lot of raps, really good assistant coach, but obviously head coaching is different. What direction do you think the Tigers should go in?
It is, and I've seen, because I played the game for quite some time, I've seen a lot of assistant coaches transition into head coaches, into that different role. And I'll tell you what, it's a different world. It's a different world, and you become a different person. Yeah. From when you're an assistant to a head coach, because as an assistant, there's less pressure on you. The spotlight's not on you for your team to perform. And although when coaches let go from clubs or different organisations or asked to move on, whatever it is, most times their assistants move with them. But sometimes they don't. So a lot of you get to keep your job if the head coach is sacked. So there's no pressure on you. So you can just get around. You can be very calm and calculated with the way you go about things day to day with the players. Very relaxed sort of mood that you're in every day. Whereas I've seen guys transition out of that and into different roles, and you can see the effect that being a head coach has on them. The stress levels, dealing with so many different things that you don't need to deal with as an assistant. Not just coaching a footy side. You're dealing with more media. You're dealing with more parts of the footy club that you wouldn't have to have dealt with as an assistant coach. I'm talking about sponsors, corporates, commercial partners, all these different things, all these different components that make up sporting clubs. You now have to give your time to them as well. It's not just the footy club. It's not. It's not just the footy team or the players. Whereas that's really what the assistant coaches need to do is just work with the players and they go home.
Yeah.
So it's a very different role. Now, is Cameron Ciraldo ready for that? Well, only he knows. And the reason why there's so much talk about Cameron Ciraldo and fair enough as well is because of the work that he's done at Penrith. And they are the number one team in the competition. They are the team that everyone aspires to be like. And he's played a role in them becoming that number one club. So there's no there's no sort of real secret as to why there's so many clubs now after his services is because he's played a huge role in making that footy club and those players as good as what they are. I guess from my opinion is it's a big decision because while he's a part of something really special at Penrith, okay, he's a part of, or he's working with the best footy team in the competition. He's working with some of the best players in the competition, and I think is it right in saying that Penrith have said to him, "You can stay as long as you want."
Yeah, that's what the reports have said.
They said, "Mate, do you want 12 months? Do you want 2 years? Do you want 5 years to line up with Ivan?"
Yeah.
If I was in his shoes, he's only 37.
Yeah.
There's no rush to go into being a head coach. Like, there's so much time to be a head coach. Have a look at Wayne Bennett. How old's Wayne Bennett? Is he 100?
1,000.
He's 1,000.
Yeah,
well, there
first
you go.
bloke ever. Crazy.
So
they said 1,000 NRL games. He's actually 1,000 years old.
So there's so much time for Cameron Ciraldo to take over a team as a head coach. And I'm not telling Cameron Ciraldo what to do here, but I'm just saying if I was in his shoes, I would stay on with Penrith for maybe a couple more, if not a few years at least. Continue to learn, continue to become a better coach, and then take a job, because whatever job he takes, he's whether it's Dogs or Tigers, let's just say Warriors as well. He's going to an organisation that aren't anywhere near where the Penrith Panthers are right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Another little tidbit. Again, this is reportedly, so not confirmed, but he's reportedly also one of the highest paid assistant coaches in the competition, if not the highest paid.
Okay.
Which is fair enough because they're top of the table. You'd think their coaching staff probably deserve to be paid substantially. Another little...
If the Melbourne Storm assistants are hearing this, they'll probably blow up. Bellyache's taken all of the money down there for the coaches.
Absolutely.
1.8 million.
Oh, mate, he's the best.
They're on about 50 grand.
And he's retiring every year, apparently.
Apparently
he's retiring every year.
Of course he is. Just bump the price up.
Yeah.
Adds another 100,000.
The best.
I'm retiring. Best. Okay, here's another 100. Only joking, Bellyache.
Another thing with assistant coaches is you're never the bearer of bad news. You're always the good news.
Yeah, deliver the positive.
So you're always the guy that's, "Oi, mate, you might be debuting." But you're never the guy that's like, "Oi, mate, you're getting dropped."
Yeah.
It's always the head coach that usually has to do that.
That's his role.
It's just a really different environment. I will say, though, and fair enough, everything is correct in saying the Dogs and the Tigers are struggling. That is true.
Yep.
But if you were glass half full, there's also so much potential in both clubs.
Yeah.
There's so much potential.
You know what, mate? Absolutely. And as I'll reiterate, I'm not saying that, Cameron Ciraldo shouldn't take those jobs.
Yeah.
It's just it's a big decision to leave such a successful organisation like Penrith right now. They've hardly lost a game of footy in the last 3 years.
Oh, mate.
Hardly lost a game of footy.
Imagine how happy to be around there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So there's so many things to weigh up. Like at the moment, they're going really well. If you're happy there, it's a big decision to move on, to leave. Because you just don't know what's going to happen if you do go.
Yeah.
Like if you let's just say worst case scenario, let's just say you go to another club, and you don't win a game of footy for the first 12 rounds.
Oof.
Who's feeling the heat then?
Yeah. Yep.
Who's feeling the heat? It comes straight back on you, and then people are going to question your ability and say, well, is he the right man? He needs to go. Like we hear all the time.
Yeah.
When teams don't win footy games, the vultures come out and they say, sack the coach.
Yeah, it's very true. And they at the start they're all about we'll be patient.
No.
There's no patience. There's no patience.
No.
Now on to there has been some reports going around that maybe South made the right decision in letting Reynolds go.
Please.
This was a shock to my eyes, Smithy. This was because the last time I checked, we're in the top 4. I didn't even have us in the top 8 this year. And I love the club. I love the club, but I didn't even have us in the top 8.
No.
I'm going to put it out there.
Yep.
If Adam Reynolds doesn't play another game for the Broncos, he's still been worth it.
Absolutely.
Because we are a top 4 side. Clearly what he's brought off the field has been outstanding.
And everyone involved in the Broncos has said as much about Adam Reynolds and Kurt Capewell, about their influence that they've had at that club. Not just in the opening 14 rounds, like going back to when they first arrived, like during the preseason, and the changes they made to that footy club.
Yeah.
Particularly the younger players, how they showed them about what it was to be a first grader, what it was to be a consistent first grader, and the standards that you need to be a competitive football team.
Yeah.
That's what they've implemented, those two players, and you throw Ryan James in as well.
Yeah.
The coaching staff have mentioned his name also. Those guys that have been around for a long time, been a part of successful footy teams, they know what it takes to be good players, good, consistent footballers that get consistent results.
Mm-hmm.
And like, is it just a coincidence that those guys have turned up? And Adam Reynolds being one of them, he was made captain. They've now won 7 games in a row, looking for 8 on Friday night against Melbourne. And they're sitting in the top 4.
Yep.
Sitting in the top 4.
Mm-hmm.
Last 2 seasons, they were what? Wooden spooners?
And 14th, I think.
And 14th. And all of a sudden, they're in the top 4.
It's incredible.
Yep.
And
it's okay to come out and make that remark now to say, I think South's made the right decision, but I don't know. Like, are you just saying that because of the injuries that he's got at the moment?
And they're injuries that you can't really help. Like, they're not soft tissue where he's,
that's right,
not stretching enough or doing enough mobility.
Yeah, and to be fair, I think if they're not sitting top 4 and in a really good position where they're at, all the players are very confident. He probably plays with that rib injury.
Yeah.
There's a lot of players in the competition that play with broken ribs, rib cartilage damage. They get on with it. But a guy that's so vital to their team and to their season, why risk him? Why risk him now?
Yeah.
In a round 15 match when you're sitting comfortably in the top 4, your team's going really well. He's missed a few games. They've continued to play well with the things that he's helped implement in that footy side. Why risk him? Why risk him? So I just think I think Broncos they're the winners out of that,
mate.
Absolutely that deal.
Absolutely, because
have a look where South are.
I know, it's crazy. It's crazy to even consider the fact it wasn't a good deal. And also, on top of that as well, they've won without him in the side and Capewell in the side. It's not like...
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like the things that those guys helped implement over the preseason, build that. What I think is the biggest change with the Broncos is like the mental toughness and their resilience throughout matches now.
Yeah.
I think those guys have had a huge say in that improvement. So you can see it. You can see it. Like, and as you mentioned, they've missed a few games, those couple of players, and they've gone on and they've continued to play well.
Absolutely. And you look at a guy like, I looked at Ezra Mann's highlights last year, and we said that he's going to be special, but it's going to take a while. His improvement in 6 months, the only answer to how he's improved so much is Adam Reynolds. And Adam Reynolds has taken a task to making Ezra Mann the best he can be. You always see them together at training.
Yep.
You always see, and without Adam Reynolds there, who would be there to develop the next halves coming through for Broncos?
And that's what good leaders do. They get the young players, they take them under their wing, and they say, "Come with me. I'll help you along the way, but just watch what I do. Watch what I do and learn from me. I'm sure you've got your own strengths that you have, but just have a look at some of the things I do also and add them to your game.
Yeah,
and that's how they gain knowledge and improve week on week.
Yeah, and Ezra Mann, he looks special.
He is a player,
silky as anything, and it's not just his electric stuff like his great footwork, speed. It was his holding the ball up to the perfect second to give his outside men enough time to get to the hole that they needed to run into.
Yeah.
All those little things like dummying and then offloading around a player rather than just throwing the ball and him getting jammed by the winger. All these little delicacies that Adam Reynolds would have taught him about, holding the ball up, everything like that. But also, let's get to another big news story. Luciano Leilua released from the Tigers, but then the Cowboys come out and say, hang on a sec, this is not even a done deal. We haven't dotted our I's, crossed the T's, haven't done none of that. Now he's currently in a situation where it's most likely going to get done the deal, but the Tigers went public with it, and he's sitting there with no contract done at the moment.
So he's just in a holding pattern.
He's in a holding pattern.
He's just nowhere.
And I just think with the Tigers, I'm like, I feel like you're digging the boot in after losing Madge and everything, but like even this wasn't handled properly. If the deal wasn't done, surely you don't go public with it yet. Surely.
Wow. So he's not playing this weekend?
Well, at this stage, the Cowboys have come out and said the deal isn't done.
So he can't play for Cowboys.
So he can't play for Cowboys. The Tigers have already been official, as in he is gone. So right now he's nowhere.
So So they've severed ties with Luciano, and then the Cowboys have said, well, no, he doesn't have a deal with us as yet.
Yeah, it's not done yet. It's basically all that's happened was Lukey went down with the ACL.
Yeah, that's right, on the weekend.
Then the Cowboys said, look, can we get... no, I think the Tigers may have reached out to the Cowboys and said, look, would you like to take him earlier?
Okay.
And the Cowboys said, yeah, let's crunch the numbers.
Transfer right now. Yep.
And so they went and crunched the numbers, Cowboys. They came back and said, yeah, we'd like to. But that's it. Like, it hadn't gone to pen on paper, done deal.
Wow.
That's all reportedly. But what is absolute fact is Michael Luck, their recruitment at Cowboys, has come out and said it's a far from a done deal. Literally quoted, far from a done deal.
No, that's just... Well, that's just a reflection of that's been really how they've handled a lot of their issues over the past few seasons, hasn't it?
I don't get it because it's so simple.
Oh,
just hold your horses, wait till it's signed, and then release the.
Yeah, don't just do everything in house. Like everything doesn't have to be played out in the media.
Yeah, it's bizarre to me. It's really really bizarre because, if you're a Tigers fan, you're sitting there going, well, if it's not a done deal, let's get Luciano Leilua playing another couple games of footy for us.
Yep.
Because we don't want to win the spoon. I mean, to be honest, I'm shocked they even... Like, fair play
Let
to
him
them.
go?
Yeah, I'm shocked. Now, fair play to them. I think it is actually a really good... The Tigers caring for Luciano Leilua going, mate, you can go to a top 4 side.
Yes.
We're struggling. So we have to give credit to the Tigers of being really selfless in this.
Yep.
But me, if I was running the club, I'd be like, bro, you're not going nowhere.
And on top of that, Kempy, 99 games he's on for the Tigers.
No way.
99 games.
Oh, wow. Surely get to 100. Surely.
Oh, mate. But that's just an extra thing out there just to think about. But it's a strange one. It's a strange one.
Yeah.
Really strange. He's a quality player.
Yeah, absolutely. The interesting thing is, with the Tigers is, I wonder whether if Michael Maguire was there, would he see the year out and say no? Because he was loyal to Michael Maguire because Michael Maguire took a punt on him.
Yes.
Brought him from the Dragons.
First place. Yep.
And he was up and down at the Dragons, showed a ton of potential, but he was a bit out of shape, bit unfit. Comes to the Tigers, Michael Maguire whips him into shape, turns him into an absolute beast.
Bit of a weapon, eh?
And then, so really interesting situation at the Tigers. I'm really unsure as to why would this happen. It seems bizarre. Anyway, we're going to head to the break. After the break, we're going to preview the Dragons v. the Rabbitohs and every other single game this weekend. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Smithy and myself. Time to break down which young players are climbing the Bailey ladder. Workside trusted for over 60 years, and I'm telling you guys, they do this yearly. They update the safety measures to make it as safe as possible. So if you're around for 60 years, you are absolutely making sure you're the safest equipment possible. Smithy, what do we got?
They're doing some really good things, Bailey ladders. First up, we got Jacob Carraz. Only his 5th appearance, Kempy, for the Doggies. 20-year-old, he had 1 try, 1 line break, 6 tackle busts, 4 offloads, and ran for over 225 metres. I know you've got a big rap on this young man.
Mate, he is outstanding. He came in 3 or 4 weeks ago, and his energy, his ball running ability, he just, as you know, sometimes when you're struggling, you throw out all the chat, all the video sessions, everything, and it's just about energy. It is just about energy. Seriously, the amount of games you win purely on energy, and he has brought that for the Doggies.
And you know what? That's what young blokes should be bringing is the energy.
Yeah.
You know, the older guys, they have the knowledge and they have the game smarts and whatnot, but you just need to bring the energy.
Yep.
Get the old boys going.
Yep.
I'll tell you one guy, young fella that had plenty of energy on the weekend, Grant Anderson.
Oh.
Made his debut for the Storm.
Stop it.
He had 2 tries, 2 line breaks, 3 tackle busts. How good was it?
Now,
and he had all his family there too, which was nice.
Did I read correct that he was essentially raised by his neighbour?
Maybe. Is that right?
I think, anyway, I read a story where his neighbour was there and his neighbour is like 91 years old.
Holy.
And he essentially calls him Pop because he's so close.
Right.
So maybe he wasn't raised by him, but extremely close neighbour. Extremely close. And there's a picture of the neighbour and in tears. He was that happy.
Oh, how good!
So it was a beautiful, beautiful story.
Great story. Yeah, he played outstanding. Grant Anderson got a double against the Chooks.
And he wasn't even in the top
the
squad.
round. Not to start the year.
Wow.
No. So that was great game by the young man. And then, number 3, we were just talking about him before, Ezra Mam. Only 3 games. Like it feels like he's been around for a lot longer than that, eh? He's only 20, had 1 try, try assist, one line break assist, 3 tackle busts, and ran for 85 metres. Now that's a big game.
Yeah, mate, he is super slick. And what I'm really excited about, when it comes to 6s and 7s, sometimes the way they complement each other is better than how good they are.
Yes.
And if you could mould a guy to complement Reynolds, it would be Ezra Mam.
Do you think that'll be his long-term position there?
Number 6? Yeah, I think so. I think so. Because defensively, he's actually really strong in defence.
Yeah. Well, mate, I've seen him, I've called a fair few Broncos games this year live. And up close, he's not overly tall.
Yeah.
Like he's sort of like, I don't know, 5'10" or something like that.
Yep.
But he's thick. Like he is a solid boy.
Yeah, well, he had to mark up on Fafita a couple of weeks ago. And I think he got bumped once, which is normal. And it was a one-on-one bump. It wasn't, he went low and got bumped from Fafita. But outside of that, he did pretty well on Fafita.
Wow.
Which is incredible.
He's done that to a few people.
Yes, absolutely. I got bumped. I was watching from the couch. Fell off my couch. But yeah, Ezra Mam, very special talent. Super excited for him. And he's really going to put bums in seats when it comes to exciting footy. If you go to YouTube, you can actually watch his highlights.
For South Logan?
South Logan, mate, he's special.
He picked up the Rookie of the Year in the Intrust Super Cup, I think it was.
Yep.
Scored 13 tries,
mate,
like crazy. How he would have been 18, I think.
Yeah, 18 because he's 19 now. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, something like that.
So I'm really excited. All 3 of those rookies, really excited.
Great
for
job,
them.
boys.
That was thanks to Bailey Ladders, bringing safety and efficiency to the worksite for over 60 years. After the news, we'll continue our round 15 preview. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Make sure to text or call in. Call in 1300 01 1170. Ask Smithy all your footy questions.
Yep.
We've got some texts here. Hey, boys, Gav from Brizzy. Love the show. A couple of years ago, the Blues had an amazing young team and it looked like they may settle into a small dynasty of their own. Fast forward 2 years, and now you could argue Queensland has the better young prospects coming through. How do you see it at the current stage, and who has the brighter future looking at it right now? Giddy up the Broncos' year of the ambush.
I don't like the word dynasties, especially in Origin.
Yeah.
It's so hard because things change so quickly in that arena. I know I was very fortunate to be a part of one, and that was just a crazy period for Queensland Rugby League. And we all got very, very fortunate with the combinations that were built across that time. But that's why you don't get carried away because you just don't know what's down the track. Not just year to year, like game to game. So you have a couple of players unavailable, then it could make all the difference.
Yeah.
So, you just appreciate what you have. If you're able to, if your team, your state's able to win a series, you just appreciate and enjoy that victory.
Yeah.
And don't try and look too far down the track and predict that, this team will win the next 4.
Yeah.
Because it's so hard. It's so hard to win one State of Origin game, let alone a series.
Yeah.
So it's, I just like to, as a fan now, I just enjoy Queensland playing well. And if they win a game, enjoy that.
Yeah.
If they win a series, enjoy that. Don't look too far down the track.
I'll be honest. After last year, I was sitting there going, this could be concerning for Queensland because they were so dominant.
Yep.
But after this year and the rapid change in how quickly Queensland's fortunes have changed.
Yep.
We're in top 4 now.
Yep.
That has taught me exactly what you just said.
Yep.
You can't predict it. You really can't. Because honestly, if someone said you can bet $1,000 whether New South Wales will win the next 2 series,
everyone would have put it on.
I probably would have put it on at the time.
Yep.
But now I would go, you honestly, year to year, you just do not know. Look at 2 years ago with the Queensland side that was the worst ever.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean? I was, mate, the great text in, Gav, because I was in your same boat of like, I thought there was going to be a New South Wales dynasty. And who knows, there may be a run of wins. But I think if this year's season has taught us anything, in 3 months, teams that were on the bottom of the ladder can be top 4.
Yep.
And so it just is so hard to pick.
Yep.
But let's get on to the round preview. The round preview, we've got the Dragons versus the Rabbitohs.
Yes.
Down in the Gong. You'll be calling this game.
I'm down there.
mate.
I'm down on the gong tonight.
Now,
looking forward to it.
There's a plenty of team news here. Plenty of team. We've got Ravalawa and Fagai return on the wing. We've got Jonathan Rubin and Tautau Moga that step out. Jaden Sewer moves into the starting side. Jack DeBellin goes to the front row. Molo goes to the bench.
Francis Molo.
Yeah, Francis Molo. Apologies. Yes.
There's two of them.
Yes, two of them now. Two of them. Francis Molo, for me, he's probably having his best year.
Yeah.
I think he's been really solid. Josh Maguire is out. Hooker Andrew McCulloch will play his 300th NRL game. Massive congratulations, Macca. First of all, thoughts on Macca? You've had a little bit to do with him?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit to do with Macca. And, he was, well, first and foremost, huge milestone for himself and his family. 300 games, that's pretty impressive. And I don't know how many players have done that now. There's not many. So when you think about our game across, 120 odd years, it's a small group.
Absolutely.
It's a very small group. There was a bit
like 1% of players or something, wouldn't it?
Oh, maybe less.
Yeah,
if you think about the players that have played across all the teams in that space of time.
Yeah, maybe like 0.5%.
So there was a little bit of a run there, a little period of time where there was a handful happened like pretty quickly in consecutive years.
Yeah.
But there's been a bit of a break. But yeah, look, massive effort by Macca, champion bloke, champion footy player, and he's been really solid for the Saints. Since going down there. Battled a few injuries of late, but look, that's a huge game, and I'd like to think that his teammates will get up for this one.
Mate, I hope so.
I think they will. Playing at home, in front of their home crowds, they're one of their key men in a huge milestone game. I think they'll play. It's a big match for both teams.
Oh, mate.
In the context of where they're both sitting right now in the competition, and where they could place themselves after tonight, moving forward into the back half of 2022 season. Huge game.
Oh, mate.
Huge
honestly,
game.
Because, a lot of games, you're actually not affecting each other's position on the ladder comparatively speaking.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Whereas this game, if Rabbitohs get the win, they jump away from the Dragons, and the Dragons may fall away from the 8th position.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like it's like ramifications of the result tonight. Pretty big because they're one win behind the Rabbitohs.
Yep.
The Dragons are one win behind. So if they're able to get up tonight, it just keeps them in touch with that top 8 situation. Rabbitohs currently sitting 7th, and the Drags, what are they, 10th? They're 10th.
Yes.
They're only one win behind, but they're 10th.
10th.
So that just shows how close that group of 4 or 5 clubs are.
Hasn't the Cowboys, Sharks, and Broncos made that top 8? Like last year was almost it wasn't easy to make the top 8.
No,
but it was way easier.
Yeah.
This year you've got 3 extra teams.
Which is good.
It. It's great.
It's great to see the competition there.
Andrew McCulloch will be the 44th player in the NRL to reach 300 games.
Well, there you go.
That's from our producer.
There you go.
So who have you got for this match, mate? You got the Rabbitohs or you got the Dragons?
I'm going the Dragons.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I'm going the Dragons with the combination of Andrew McCulloch's 300th and playing at home, and just what's riding on this match. I've got the Dragons.
What would you mark the Rabbitoh season for the year?
Oh,
Consider all things considering, Latrell being out, Wayne leaving, Reynolds leaving, Gagai leaving, Sewer leaving.
Oh goodness, I reckon I expected a bit more from them. But in saying that, they've still found themselves in the top 8.
Yeah,
I know. I'd probably say B-. Would that be?
Yeah,
would that be where you have them?
C plus B minus.
Yep.
Yeah, because I just think I can only judge their year once Latrell is back playing footy.
Okay.
Because he's in my opinion, because he's
if he's
so
fit,
key.
he's in it. Yeah, true.
And
That's
so
true.
like he's their main guy.
Yeah.
Now if he comes back and they're still patchy, then I go, probably not as good as I thought they would go.
Yeah. That's why I went like the B-.
Yeah, it's hard because they really have had quite a bit go against them.
Yeah.
They've had massive
huge
losses.
change, mate.
Huge change.
Huge change. Like not just the players. So you take Reynolds, he's a key component of the footy side as the number 7. He's the general, and I think we've seen the guy that's had the most. His moving to Brisbane has had the most effect on is Walker.
Yeah,
Cody Walker. He just looks like he's not the same player as he was last year because of. I think he's got more. He's been given more responsibility now. He's working with a rookie number 7 who is holding his own. I must admit. Yeah, Elias. But I don't think he's not at his most comfortable, Cody Walker, when he has to, sort of organise the team and takes a little bit of focus away of what he's good at. Is just playing off the cuff.
I will say also, Cody Walker and Wayne Bennett were perfect for each other.
Yeah, that had a great relationship.
Great relationship. And it's not to say Demetrio and Walker don't get along at all.
It's just different.
It's just totally different.
Yeah, it's different.
And I just think that the loss of a guy like Wayne Bennett who would really understand Cody Walker, I mean, how many young players has Wayne Bennett been able to bring the best out of?
Well, that's Wayne Bennett's strength, is being able to get the best out of players. It's not so much coming up with game plans or strategies. You know firsthand, like he's not big on team meetings or watching vision on the opposition.
Not really.
It's just about getting individuals in the right frame of mind to go and play their best footy.
Yeah.
So that's what he would have been doing that for all those players at the Rabbitohs.
Now on to Manly versus the Cowboys at 4 Points Park, 6 p.m. Now, I'm actually super keen for this match. I think it's going to be outstanding.
Yep.
Because Manly Seagulls, I actually think they've fought pretty valiantly after losing Tommy Trbojevic. The Cowboys, as we discussed, they travel, and they haven't travelled much this year. How have you got this game panning out?
I'm going with the Cowboys. Off the back of their form, they were able to win without some of their Origin stars on the weekend. As did Manly. They won without their skipper, Daly Cherry Evans, but he's back this week, makes them a stronger outfit. I just think the Cowboys are travelling a lot stronger than what Manly are. And I know this is at Four Pines, Manly's home ground, but I just think the form that the Cowboys are bringing to this game will be a little bit too strong for Manly. I don't know, and they get back, like Ruben Cotter's back, Nanai, he's back. It makes them just a much more formidable side.
Yeah. I mean, Taumalolo's ball playing has improved so much.
Well, last year he had an off year. Like, to his standards, okay, he had an off year, but he's found some of his best form again. Like he's doing so many good things. Like, as you said, like he's offloading, but he's running. He's back to his best with his running. His footwork's been amazing. He's getting in and taking dummy half runs.
Yeah, I know.
So
crazy.
that just shows he is keen to get in there and make a difference. Yep. And he's making a huge difference to the not just the way they're playing, but the results.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I've got a tough question for you, Smithy. I'm going to put you on the spot. Okay. Who's been more of a buy of the season, Townsend or Reynolds?
This is a tough one.
I don't even know the answer.
It's hard to answer because they've made a huge impact in different ways. Obviously, Chad's gone up there and he's played every single game, I think, for the Cowboys. I think he's played every single game for them. So he's making a huge difference on the field, with what he's producing week on week. Like, his kicking game has been great.
And Dearden's been good under him.
Dearden has really flourished playing beside Chad Townsend. He's learned a lot from him. He's a good young player, Tommy Dearden. He's a star of the future.
If you ever needed an example of someone getting confidence from an Origin camp, he came out on the weekend. Yeah. He was confident as anything. He was so confident, and it's what you want to see in your halves. He was outstanding.
See, he got to spend 10 days with Alfie Langer.
Oh, hey, mate, that'll give you confidence. The great Alfie. Jeez.
I don't think Alfie spoke too much about footy. Might have been more about some other stuff, leisure activities away from the footy ground.
Right, absolutely.
But no, look, I think difficult one to answer. They've each had really positive impacts at both clubs for different reasons. Yeah. But I've got North Queensland winning that one.
North Queensland getting the win. Look, I agree with you. I honestly can't split them. Townsend, you would say Reynolds maybe a little bit more like try assists and all that kind of stuff. But then what Townsend has brought to the consistency of that Cowboys side has been absolutely outstanding. So I can't split them. We're going to head to the break. After the break, we're going to continue previewing the round. We've got the Storm versus the Broncos. We've got the Sharkies versus the Titans. Make sure to stay tuned. Give us a text 0457 736 736 and we'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with myself and Smithy. Thanks to the SEN app. Download it today for free in the App Store. Listen anywhere, anytime. Now, let's continue our round 15 preview. It's the Storm versus the Broncos. Storm team news.
Here we go.
Now, Pappenhausen was supposed to return.
He wouldn't have played.
And then he gets Done with COVID.
Do you reckon he would have played?
I don't know. I'm just going to say yes.
No,
just gonna
I'm saying
yes.
no. he was named on the extended bench.
Yeah.
The whole competition has a bye next week. Why would you bring him back for one game and then have a rest?
It's a good point.
He's coming back from a serious hamstring injury.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have played.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just drumming up.
Okay. Bit of drama.
Bit of noise.
Bit of West Naguamas.
Yeah, their belly ache's just trying to do some head noise there.
Okay. He's a king at it. He's a king at it. Now we've got Brisbane Broncos team news. Adam Reynolds, Herbie Farnworth are both out, which sees Tyrone Roberts and Katoni Staggs back into the side. Origin reps Selwyn Cobbo, Kurt Catewell both return to the side, pushing Jordan Pereira, TC Rabadi to the reserves. How have you got this match playing?
How long is Herbie out for?
A season. Boom. 3 or
He's
4 months.
done.
Did his bicep.
Yeah, it's bicep. Yeah, wow.
Mate.
That is a huge out for Broncos.
Oh, my
Because he's been
God.
so good.
He's been and he's been good for more than this year as well.
A lot of the attention has been around Katoni Staggs because of Origin coming up and whether he was going to take that spot. But Herbie Farnworth has been enormous for the Broncos.
I would
enormous.
say he's more consistently impacted the game for Brisbane.
Yeah, enormous. And both, Katoni, he has that explosive style of footy where, when he runs, he fends off people, he stops and starts, he breaks tackles. Very good defensively as well, quite aggressive. Herbie's just his ability to
so fit,
make things happen, both in defence and with the ball, it's just amazing. And he's been playing great footy, so that's a big out for the Bronx. How have I got this game? Well, I've got the Storm winning, and you've got Broncos winning. I'd like to think.
Well, my heart does, but I just think
Tempe?
we've got too many things out, mate. We've got too many teams out.
Here we go.
Oh,
Here we
mate,
go.
Look, we're decimated by injury, mate. Honestly.
But you back Broncos.
If I was a Storm, I wouldn't even claim the W. That's how many injuries we got. That's what I'm saying. Honestly.
Oh, wow, okay. Okay. Mate, come on. I expected more out of you than this.
Mate,
No excuses, mate.
Mate, we can barely field a side.
What do you mean?
We got like 10 blokes out. Maybe.
Mate, Cobbo, Capewell, Payne Haas, Carrigan, Flegler.
Payne Haas has got 2 sore shoulders.
Oh, stop it.
No, I'm joking. Broncos 13 plus.
Look, this is going to be a cracking game. Second v fourth.
Yeah.
Now, when's the last time we could have said that about a Melbourne Storm Broncos game?
Yeah,
Long
absolutely.
time?
Long time. I think Broncos have only beaten Storm twice since 2011.
Yeah, okay.
So that's a fair record. I will say it's a really good opportunity, all jokes aside, it is a really good opportunity for this young Broncos pack to test themselves against the benchmark in Storm.
Agree.
You need to see, okay, I've been able to go to 80 minutes with teams on the edges of the 8 and all that kind of stuff, but can I put in that same kind of effort against a team that has the right systems in place that isn't going to give you an inch anywhere? No. So all those little times you took breaks in other games that you got away with, it's not going to happen in this game. It's a great test for the Broncos. Now, yes, they are missing Reynolds and Herbie, but that doesn't change your effort. Okay, so for example, let's say we go out and we struggle to score points, but we put on a great defensive effort and we get beaten 22-6.
Yep.
You could be okay with that because at least they controlled what they could control, which was their effort.
Yeah.
But if we go out and the effort's not there and we're not tying in for our mates and we're not doing all the little things, we're taking rest, we're taking shortcuts, we're not getting line speed, that's when you can be disappointed.
Yeah, I completely agree with the forward pack stuff. We know that Payne Haas, Paddy Carrigan, and Capewell, they're all seasoned guys. Well, Paddy Carrigan's, he's still young, but he's been around for a little bit.
Yep.
And been in damaging form for the Broncos. They'll take it to him, but I agree with you. It's a good test for guys like Corey Jensen, who's been amazing.
So good.
Once he's been given that starting spot.
Yeah.
Jordan Ricky on an edge. Kobe Hetherington, Tommy Flegler, and Palacier as well.
Yep. Flegler's been outstanding.
Yeah, he's been very good. He's a big, aggressive
I love
ball carrier.
Yeah.
It's really good to see, particularly as a Queenslander. He's a part of that squad. But those younger guys, you're right, mate. It's a huge test to go down there against guys like the Bromwich brothers, Kafusi, Big Nas, Brandon Smith.
Yeah.
Test yourself out.
Yeah.
Harry Grant, test yourself out against some of the best in the competition.
And I would say when it comes to your ability, Broncos forwards, I would say on your day, you can be just as good as that Storm forward pack. Now, whether you're going to do it, That's a question that you can answer this weekend. We're going to head to a break. On the other side, we're going to keep previewing around. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Smithy, we've got some text there, mate.
Yes, we do. Hey, guys, just a little idea. Should Bloke in the bar be the new sponsor for the Queensland Maroons?
Oh, wow. I tell you what, to be the sponsor of both teams.
Oh, that'd be enormous.
That would honestly be a dream come true. Now, we're 1,000 miles away from that.
Yep.
Probably a bit too expensive at the moment. We're just battlers at the moment.
Down the track.
Maybe in a decade's time. And if that moment ever comes, I'm telling you, we'll celebrate it. We'll celebrate it like it's...
What about a real quick one here? Kempy, can you see the mighty Cowboys contending for the premiership at finals time, or have they just had a good year?
Oh, it's a tough one. That's a really, really tough one. Look, I think Leilua coming up, if he does come up, it could change a few things.
Yep.
At the moment, if I had to predict, I'd have him going into the second or third week of the finals, but who knows? Anyway, we're going to head to a break. See you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith and myself. And remember, you can catch up on anything you missed from the show via the podcast, which you can download now on the SCN app, or you go to Apple, Spotify, Captain's Run, boom, it's there for you. Listen to it anytime. But let's get in. Let's give it a call. Give us a call, guys. 1300 01 1170 or text 0457 736 736. But let's get into a preview. We've got the Warriors v. the Panthers on Saturday. Now, Ronald Volkman will make his NRL debut at 5'8". Huge raps on this kid. Very, very... He reminds me a lot of a young Anthony Milford. Really skillful, great ball runner. Big match to debut win, though. Big match to debut win. How do you see this game playing?
Yeah,
out?
it forces Chanel, Harris DeVita to the bench as well. It's hard to preview Penrith games because they're just so strong, isn't it?
Yeah,
really, it's just you feel like you're on repeat. But they were, again, without doing anything flash, without doing anything spectacular. Although they had moments of brilliance in last week's game Sunday against Newcastle. They just grind you down and just put points on at a steady rate. And I think we may have spoke about this on last week's show. They just, all of a sudden, you look up at the scoreboard, it's 24-0.
Yeah.
And they just did that so easy. So, I'm sorry to say this for Warriors fans listening, but I can't see anything changing this week against the Warriors. They're playing up at Redcliffe, and I think they travel up there with a lot of confidence. And they get the job done.
Yeah, look, if I'm Warriors, if I was speaking to the Warriors, I would just be saying, boys, it's 80 minutes. Let's just who cares about, honestly, this might be a stupid thing to say, but I honestly almost go, who cares about game plans? Who cares about any of that stuff?
Let's just have a crack.
Let's just rip in for 80, boys.
Yep.
That's it. That's all we can ask.
And you never take the field, right? And I'm talking on behalf of the Warriors here. You never go onto a footy field thinking, well, we can't win. Okay, so you always go on there with confidence, like you're out there to win.
Yeah, for sure.
So you need to play that way. And it doesn't matter who you're playing against, what form they're in, how many games they've won before they come up and play against you. You need to take the field like, we're a chance of winning today. If we just need to go play well and have a dig. And I think on the most part, like most fans, although they love their team to have a win, they love to see them being successful. Most fans just want their team to go out and put in effort for 80 minutes. So for the Warriors players, that's really what they should be thinking this week. And as you mentioned, don't worry about the final score. Don't worry about a result. You're all out there to play well and win. Just go out there and have a red hot crack. You're playing against the best team in the competition, so have a dig. Like, it's a good test.
Yeah.
Test yourself. That's the great thing about elite sport, or any sport really. When you're playing against good footy sides, when you're playing against good players, great opportunity to go out there and test yourself against the best.
Absolutely.
That's what everyone should be relishing.
Yeah. It's tough because when you're in the bubble, you don't realise it's actually a bit of a privilege to be able to be doing what you're doing. Like, you get to play against a red hot, you get Cleary. Think about all the players that played, and I'm not saying you're going to be Joey, but think about all the players that had the opportunity to play Joey.
Oh, man.
I guarantee you, you could ask any of them 10 to 20 years later, they would have been like, I can't believe I was fortunate enough to play and test myself against one of the better ones. And so even from a personal level, just ask yourself that question. But I've jumped the gun here, Smithy. I have a tendency to be poor at my job, but this is a bad one.
No.
I got the matches mixed up. We've actually got a game before that.
Yes.
It's the Sharks versus the Titans.
Oh, yes.
Sorry, Sharkies and Titans fans. I apologise.
No, we didn't forget.
No, we don't forget. We don't forget around here.
No.
Craig Fitzgibbon has stuck with the same 17 that beat the Warriors last week. Brimo returns at fullback. Jermaine Osako to the wing. Isan Masters to reserve. Tino Fa'asu Malawi is back at lock. Moeki Fotuaika goes to the bench. How do you see this playing out?
This is a good game. They're playing at Coffs Harbour International Stadium.
Yeah.
Which is, I think it's the Sharkies' home game.
Okay.
Because these guys only played each other maybe 3 weeks ago on the Gold Coast.
Oh, yeah.
On the Gold Coast. Where the Titans, they started really well.
Yeah.
They started really well. Took the Sharkies a little bit to work into the game. I actually think a number of their players were battling the flu through that sort of period of time. But they got the job done in the end. But they only went down, I think they went down by 7 points, the Titans. So they were in it.
They were in it, then they dropped out of it, and then they came
back in it. They scored a couple of late tries. So, Gold Coast. I predicted these guys to be in the top 6 this year. They're now currently sitting, 15th?
No, they're last on the ladder.
Oh, they're last. Oh, no. Oh, okay. Okay. We need to reevaluate some where things are at the moment. They are, look, I'll leave it at this. They are a much better footy side than 16th in this competition.
Oh,
they haven't been able to put it together consistently, their best footy.
Yeah.
And this isn't just round by round. You see their best footy in one match and their worst footy in the same game.
It's crazy.
It's just and one of their strengths has been their starts. Majority of their games they've played, they've started quite well. But then they just lose momentum. They lose their train of thought. They lose concentration and bring in. They self-destruct really.
Yeah.
They have unforced errors. They kick balls out in the full. They drop balls in the play of the ball. They drop simple catches, and they just invite the opposition back into the game. And then when the opposition gain a bit of momentum and start getting a bit of a stranglehold on the match, they can't find their way back.
Yeah. It's a tough one because there's such a young playing group, and I think a lot of us expected that this year would be up and down.
Yeah.
But if I would probably challenge them a bit and say, boys, out of all the Queensland sides, we were the best at the start of this year.
Yes.
And look where we are now.
Yeah.
And it's not because of our roster.
So a bit of a pride thing you're saying.
Yeah, I reckon. I'd say it's not because of our roster, because all the analysts, all the experts said we had a great roster. And we're currently sitting last, while two other teams who the experts said had worse rosters or would finish worse, at the least, are top 4.
Top 4.
And I would challenge them and say, boys, is this what we want to be representing as a club, as a team, as a playing group, that the players with all the potential, but we just never feel? And also, you look at the Cowboys and the Broncos, and what's changed for them? It isn't the flashy stuff.
No.
It's all the little tough stuff.
Yep.
And so if I was the Titans, I'd be challenging each and every player and saying, who and what do we want to be as a club? Because gone are the days of yesteryear where the Gold Coast Titans, where you come up for a bit of holiday because it's on the Gold Coast, the beaches, how good's the lifestyle up here? Mm-hmm. We need to be turning into a club that has standards, and we refuse to budge on those standards. And I think that yesteryear, they didn't have the squad or the luxury to be like that.
Yep.
Because they had to work in a bit of a grey area because the roster wasn't as strong, and you've got to give a little bit of leeway here because you need to keep the superstar, blah, blah. I don't think they're in that position anymore. I think they have the roster to be able to start demanding standards, and that's where I would kind of put them in this game. And it's a great opportunity.
Who have you got winning?
Oh, mate, it's tough because the Sharkies have been so patchy at the moment. I know they got a good win last week, but look, I'm going to go. I think the Sharkies get the job done. But as long as it's a tight game, the Titans can at least come out proud from it. But
Big Tino back. You know what? I'm going to back the Titans.
You're backing them in.
I'm backing them.
You're loyal.
Come on, boys.
You're loyal, Smithy.
Just lift.
Lift.
Come on.
Now,
by next week. Leave it all on the field.
80 minutes. 80 minutes.
Empty
your
the
best.
tank.
Parramatta versus the Eels. Sorry.
Parramatta.
Parramatta are playing themselves. It's A versus B.
So they're going to get a win.
Possibles and probables. Eels versus Roosters. Eels versus Roosters.
Oh, well. If there's one team that's going to be stinging.
Oh, my God.
Well, I know the coach will be. Brad Arthur.
Mate.
Imagine the serve they would have copped. Like, all due respect, like, Bulldogs played really well.
Yeah.
But Parramatta, they can. I feel as though, Parramatta fans most definitely would consider their team as a, contender for the competition.
Yeah.
When they're at their best.
Absolutely.
They were
the
far
only
from
team to beat the two best sides.
the only team.
Yeah.
So it's strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
How you can beat Penrith, you can beat Melbourne,
Away too.
but you can't knock the doggies
You
off.
can beat the Storm in Melbourne. You can beat Penrith at Penrith. Mate.
How does that happen?
I don't know.
How good's rugby league?
Oh, it's a roller coaster. I tell you what. Yeah, look, I
But they'll be stinging.
I think Eels are in for a big bounce back. But I just what baffles me sometimes about the Eels is like they all know what works for them.
Yeah.
It's an extremely aggressive forward pack through the middle,
Yes.
and they dominate teams. But every time they lose, it's because they keep trying to
They go
make the
away
big
from that
play.
game
They
plan.
go away from it.
Yep.
And it just always surprises me. I understand when you're out there, things are different, and
Yes.
sometimes things can just accumulate.
Yep.
I get that. But every time they've lost, it's been usually they're playing very laterally,
Yep.
and they're not earning the right to go for the big plays.
And off the back of like performances like that on the weekend against the Dogs, that's why the question marks keep getting raised about Parramatta.
Yeah.
Because everyone knows when they're at their best, they are contenders. And we just said they've beaten Melbourne, they've beaten Penrith, the two teams that everyone said, well, it's out of those two. It's a 2-horse race.
Mm-hmm.
But Parramatta have beaten both of those sides because they played the way that you just mentioned. They play tough, they play physical, sometimes a little bit out of the normal, out of the norm, and change things up a little bit. But then when it's like they just think, well, we just need to turn up today. They just get a little bit, a little bit comfortable. I don't know if it's comfortable is the right word. Just a little bit. I don't know. They just don't have that attention to detail when they feel as though they've got the opposition covered.
Yeah. It's just really interesting. I would say you could mount an argument. Are they trying to mix things up so they don't have that end of season fade?
Oh, I don't think so.
So yeah, okay.
I don't think you want to be dropping a game to the Bulldogs.
Oh, not wanting, but what I'm saying is they've tried to mix things up and
Right.
it hasn't. It's not working.
Oh, okay.
You
Sorry.
know what I'm
okay.
saying?
Yep. Okay.
They're trying to mix things up at training. Maybe they've backed off a little bit because
Okay.
they've faded. I think it's like the last 3 seasons in a row.
No, they certainly have.
They've faded at the end of the year, and I wonder,
Yep.
because they're trying to change things up, we're seeing this kind of reactions from them. Maybe.
Yep.
Again?
Well, if let's just say, okay, they've had that fade out, okay, or like they're sort of fallen off the cliff in the back half of the year over the last few. You'd say that'd be from, if it's from the training, you would say it'd be from the intensity, okay. So if they've changed things up and they've tried to freshen them up a bit, you'd like to think that they'd had a lot more sort of energy and a lot more bounce than what they did on the weekend, and be ready to go.
No, totally agree. I will say, and look, this may not have been the cause, but RCG and Bolo were the only 2 front rowers to start from the Origin. Every other front rower.
Okay, out of that entire Origin game.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they were the only 2 to start
That
for their
backed
club.
up. Yep.
Yeah, where the other ones came off the bench.
Yeah, there were some ruck players that didn't even play.
Yeah. So I wonder whether that was a smart decision, making these guys start when they're, they'd be bruised and battered.
Oh, they would have
It was
been.
a crazy game rather than bring them off the bench.
Yep.
But anyway, it's tough. Now, the Roosters.
Yeah, Roosters.
Look, I cannot put a finger on the Roosters. I just don't know.
It's hard, to get a gauge on them. It's hard.
You feel like they're one game away from going on a run.
Yep.
But then they never just take that final step.
Yep.
And then the next week they come out and they'll struggle again. I'm just not sure what's going on.
They look pretty good in the early stages against Melbourne, didn't they?
Absolutely.
Well, they're the first to score.
Yep.
And they have some good footy, but Melbourne they found a way to grind out a really tough win up there in Sydney. But yeah, like you said, mate, like it's so hard to put a finger on where they're at this year.
Yeah.
Because they've had some outstanding games, and then they've had games that haven't been that great at all, or anywhere near the standard that you expect of a Roosters footy side, particularly their defence.
Yeah.
I think they've been a little bit fragile defensively this year.
Well, there was almost like a ruthlessness about the Roosters. In their dominant period, it was a Roosters footy, and there was an identity there of like, wow, this is how the Roosters play.
Yep.
Super aggressive in the middle.
Even when they didn't win premierships.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? They were still, like, every time you're like, oh, we're playing Roosters, everyone knew what was coming.
Yeah.
Everyone knew what was coming. But that's what I was saying, like, the defence, I don't know, it just looks a little bit, at times, a little bit fragile. Just sometimes teams are breaking their line with a fair bit of ease.
Yeah.
Which typically you don't get from the Roosters.
Yeah. No, it's a really interesting, and you wonder, like, their squad hasn't changed that much. Trent Robinson is an incredibly good coach.
Yep.
I think if there is one team in the comp, though, that could genuinely just all of a sudden go on a crazy run,
Just find it, yep.
it's probably the Roosters.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is a really big game for them. It's a really good opportunity, actually.
Yeah.
Because if they knock off the Eels,
Yep.
they're almost in a perfect situation to knock the Eels off because the Eels, didn't win last week.
Yep.
Maybe their confidence is down. So I actually think this is going to be a cracking match. Match.
What about Luke Keary, mate? He's being monitored. I think he's been named, but he'll be monitored during the week. Do you reckon he'll play?
I personally wouldn't play him. Just with he's had some history with the head knocks and that.
Yeah.
But
it's concerning, eh?
It is concerning for sure. And it was the same with Cordner and plenty of other
Jakey
players.
Friend.
Yeah, Jakey Friend. But even go further back, Joshy Miller had to retire from head knocks as well.
Yep.
Like seeing any player in that situation, it's tough because I don't have the pressures of winning games on my back.
Yeah.
So I don't. The decision is harder for them, whereas I am just looking at it going, I hope you're okay.
Yes, that's right.
So,
and if there's been one club willing to make tough decisions with their players, or sorry, not tough decision, the right decision for their player, not about winning footy games, but for the health of their players, it's been the Roosters.
Absolutely. They've been really good with that.
As we've just mentioned those two players in Cordner and Friend.
Yeah, absolutely. So, look, I'm going to go the Eels to get the win, but I think this is going to be match of the round. Match of the round, Smithy.
Yep, I'm with you. I think Eels will bounce back.
Okay, after the break, we will share our holy schnitz moments of the week. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. I've got a quick little text I want to read out. Morning, boys. Me and my son are on a road trip to Grafton for a hockey tournament. Who was your favourite player to go on a road trip with? First of all, shout out to Josh and Lockie from Newcastle, currently on a road trip.
Drive safely, fellas.
Drive safely.
Thanks for tuning in.
Mine would have been, this is a bit of left field, but I love travelling with a guy by the name of Josh Hoffman. He was a bit of a class
Hoffman.
clown. I love Josh Hoffman. He was funny
Really?
as anything. Funny as anything.
Really? Who would I have liked to go on? I actually did a big road trip. I did a drive from Melbourne to Brisbane with my old teammate Dallas Johnson.
Oh, the great Dallas Johnson.
Big Dal. Yeah, no, it was actually good just having a chat to him along the way. We you know what? We didn't stop. We drove all the way through. Silly.
No way.
Ridiculous.
That would have hurt.
End of 2003, I think it was. So
Yeah.
we just wanted to get home.
Yeah.
And we just gunned it. No, speed limit, of course, all the way. Drove safely.
Mentally gunned it.
But just mentally just said, nah, got the tunnel, got the blinkers on.
Yeah.
And just
Get the
went
job done.
straight up.
What's that, like 11 hours or something?
What? 11 hours?
I don't even, like, what?
What do you-
How long was it?
Mate, it was 21.
Holy moly.
11 hours.
I don't know. What are you, a geography teacher or something?
11 hours. Have you gone, mate, road trips?
If I'm being honest.
What's your longest road
if
trip
I'm-
you went with Josh Hoffman? What, just down at the corner shop or something?
Mate, just around the corner. No, just on the bus, going to games and that, pretty much.
Generally speaking, Melbourne to Sydney, 10 hours, right?
So that's what I thought you were
Roughly?
saying. I forgot.
Roughly?
I actually didn't hear where you said you went from.
Oh, okay. So you had no interest in my,
No,
story,
I just
really?
forgot, but I didn't want to put your story up. I didn't want to put your story up.
No, we went from Melbourne to Brizzy.
Okay.
And we went up the
okay.
guts. We went up the Newell Highway.
Oh,
up
okay.
that way. So.
I thought it was Melbourne to Sydney. That's why I was like about 11
Oh,
hours.
sorry, no.
Yeah.
What are we going to Sydney for?
I don't know, mate.
We're from Queensland.
You Melbourne Storm players do a lot of weird stuff.
Yeah, so that was good. That was good.
Now,
so Dal Johnson, yep.
Holy Schnitz sporting moment. Obviously, Schnitz, best schnitzels in all the land. But my nomination was Mitchell Moses' bomb try. I was going, holy Schnitz at my TV. Holy Schnitz, mate. What's going on there, Mitchie? And you could see as soon as it happened, Mitchie had this kind of like, not a smirk, but an embarrassed grin, like, oh my God, it's going to get replayed forever.
Yes.
So I feel sorry for Mitch because he tried his heart out on the weekend. Unfortunately, didn't get the win. But yeah, that was the moment I screamed, holy Schnitz at my TV.
Yes. Well, my moment, Socceroos.
Oh my God.
They had a really good victory against Peru in penalty shootout to make their 5th consecutive World Cup. Now, you're a big soccer man.
I used to play a bit of soccer, yeah. And
or in the world game, football.
Football, yes. Football. But it was incredible because they were paying $5 to get the win.
Yeah, I know.
And they beat Peru. It was an incredible performance. Actually, there's some footage of, is it Redmayne?
Yes,
the keeper?
Andrew
Redmayne?
Yeah, he's actually going to be on Vossi and Brandy tomorrow morning.
Oh, tune in.
So tune in.
So there's actually footage, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he actually saw the opposing goalkeeper's notes
In the shootout.
Of like whose kicks right, who kicks left. He picked them up and binned them before the shootout.
How good.
So that the guy wouldn't have his notes. That's what I'm talking about.
Tell me, would you do that? Because there's been a few arguments have been a little bit.
I wouldn't.
You wouldn't?
But I like that he did it.
Yeah.
I personally wouldn't, though.
Well, mate, he's there to win.
100%.
I just think, mate, do what you have to do.
Like, if he doesn't do that, maybe we don't get World Cup.
That's right. And everyone will be saying, mate, why didn't you throw that water bottle away?
Yeah, exactly.
Why didn't you do it?
So I personally would have been like, ooh, I don't know if I should do that.
Is that a thing, though? Like, how can you predict where they're going to kick?
They would watch tape.
Yeah, but okay, so what? So you generally kick to one direction in a penalty shootout?
Yeah, usually, because
really?
it's so nerve-wracking, mate. Like and also those keepers are so big, it's much smaller space than you realise.
Oh yeah, like their legs and arms are so long.
Yeah, and so you tend to kick to a specific side because it's like conversions.
Yeah,
if you do it over and over, you can just nail it. Whereas if you're picking different sides all the time, you're less likely to pinpoint accuracy.
There's no goalie in front of the post when I'm kicking out a conversion, though. I don't have to worry about it.
Now, that is the Holy Schnitz. They were our Holy Schnitz moments. Thanks to Schnitz. Got that winning taste right now. Schnitz handcrafted schnitzels, made fresh and made just for you. After the news, we'll continue our round 15 preview.
Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith and myself. Thanks to SEN 1170 in Sydney, 1620 on the Goldie, 1053 in Brisbane, and soon via 693 SENQ. Let's continue our round 15 preview, Smithy. We've got the Raiders versus the Knights. Big game this. Big game. Raiders look to have turned a corner. They started the year, I think they went 2 from 8, so 2 wins in 8 games. Then they went on a run. Basically, I think it's 4 from 6 or around that mark. But they've improved drastically. Yep. The Knights, on the other hand, it looks like it's getting worse, unfortunately. How do you see this game panning out?
Look, it wasn't great for Newcastle last week. They showed some good form throughout that match. Like first half, they were pretty good. I think they only made a couple of errors. Panthers made none. So it's always going to be
so hard to win.
That's always going to be a tough day. But they just, I don't know, with all the injuries that they've been dealt throughout this season, they've just found it really difficult to find any type of form. Like any type of form.
Yeah.
And they've only won sort of a handful of matches this year. But again, they're one of these teams that are like the Gold Coast Titans. They're a much better footy side than what we're seeing from them right now.
Yeah.
They really are. Will their best footy be good enough against Canberra? I don't think with the form that they've found, like you've said, was it 4 from 6?
Yeah,
4 from
around
the last
that.
6?
Yeah, around that.
With that form, I just don't know whether that will be good enough, particularly when Raiders are playing at home. They're always a little bit harder. Always a little bit harder at home.
It'll be so cold.
It'll be freezing. Josh Papali, he goes back into the starting pack as well. Rapana's back from suspension, so that just makes them a stronger footy side.
Yeah.
Kalen Ponga has been named to play. I thought he had to miss the game, but because of that concussion protocols, he was given a Category 1 concussion from last week when he tried to get in front of brave effort.
Yeah, brave
effort to get in front of Viliami Kikau.
Yeah.
But he took a pretty solid hit to his head and then hit the deck afterwards. I thought he.
Mate, I'm getting a bit worried about Kalen. Like he just
the way he plays. Well, it's hard, mate, because it's hard, and I know. You know, like us as former players, you get worried for like the current players and particularly, fans of these guys. You get a little bit concerned about the way they play, but if they don't play that way, are they in the team?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a good point.
If they don't play that way, do they get picked?
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why they get picked to play NRL is because of the way they play the game.
How brave he puts himself into tackles.
It's like Dale Finucane.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's currently, he's out with a knee injury, but that was because of a head knock that he received. He hurt his knee after getting the head knock. But that's why he is in an NRL system is because of the aggressive style of footy that he plays.
Yeah.
And that's the same as Kalen. So, let's hope that he's okay and he can get out there and play for the Knights and he's healthy. Kurt Mann, he goes back to lock. I think that's great. He missed about 5 or 6 matches with, and it was a freak thing ankle, like he busted a blood vessel in his ankle. It's like the fourth person in the world for this thing to ever happen.
Oh, my.
And if he didn't get onto it, he got rushed to hospital. If he didn't get onto it, he almost would have lost his foot.
Oh, my God.
So he missed about 5 matches. He come back last week, off the bench. Kalen goes off with a HIA, went to fullback, did a pretty good job. So he's back at lock. He played really good footy there. They look like a much stronger side with this lineup. I just don't know whether that'll be enough to beat Canberra, though.
Yeah. No, I agree. They look much stronger, but Canberra, Tarpanay for me has been the form front row over the last 4 weeks. He's been outstanding.
Tarpanay?
Yeah, Tarpanay for the Raiders.
Yep.
And I really like what they're building there. I understand they lost against understrength Broncos, but I think that was more to Broncos just putting on an incredible defensive effort.
Oh, that's going back to that game. That's probably one of the toughest games that Broncos have played in a long time.
Years.
One of the bravest efforts.
Absolutely.
And they had to get that win.
Absolutely. Yep. So I think the Raiders are in pretty good form at the moment. I think that Jackie White, and he'll have another week of rest after Origin. He was in really good form in Origin. I think that's going to give him a lot of confidence. So, look, I'm going to get the Raiders to get the win. Mm-hmm. And I also think that out of all those guys on the edge of the 8, the Raiders right now, for me, are probably in the best form.
Yeah, right.
So I think they actually may be able to squeeze themselves into the 8.
Yep.
Which would be a great turnaround. They were headed for the spoon, maybe, first 8 games.
Yeah.
And then, and now all of a sudden they could make the 8. It would be an incredible turnaround. So,
well, a couple of results go their way. They could be right there.
Mm. Now, on to the next game. We've got the Doggies versus the Tigers. Chris Patolo is out with concussion, but Curtis Morin has been named on the bench for his NRL debut. Congratulations, Curtis.
Yep.
Raymond Fatala Mariner replaces Corey Waddell on the starting side, and then West Tigers, Tigers fans get excited. The great Adam Dewey.
He's back.
He's back. He's off the bench, but he's back.
Yes.
So important to that side. And it's going to be really interesting to see how different they are with a guy like, Hastings has brought so much to the side. But we have to remember, in their darkest days, Dewey was the energy guy. He was the guy bringing, he was their best player, essentially. So
where will he go on?
That's an interesting one. I probably
coming off the bench, he's not when he's fully fit, he's not a bench player.
Nah, not at all. Maybe centre or
Centers?
13, maybe, but probably centre, I'd say.
Okay.
Another thing that would be interesting is if they got rid of Leilua, are they considering him as an edge? Maybe. I don't know if he's got the size for it yet. But very exciting times. Who have you got?
Well, I'm jumping on the Doggies bandwagon.
Yeah. Okay.
Off the back of last week.
Yep.
Surely they take a lot of confidence and they're just excited at Belmore this week.
Yeah.
About a great result. Knocking off Parramatta, that's
massive.
That's huge for them.
And what's
huge.
Ironic is the other team to knock off Parramatta was Tigers.
Oh.
So it's...
Oh, hang on a minute. Can I change my tip?
But
I'm with the Doggies.
With the Doggies?
I'm with the Doggies.
What an opportunity for the Doggies, though. They could go 2 in a row.
Yes. Let's throw... we're getting off track a little bit here. We're going back to Origin stuff. Spanner in the works.
Yeah, okay.
Josh Addo-Carr.
Oh, wow.
5 tries in the last 2 matches that he's played since being left out of the Origin side.
Mate.
Chances for Origin 2.
It's tough because, Tupou, he was actually really good.
Yeah, he was
200+ metres.
Yep, and he was strong. All of his carries.
Yep,
got the Blues away to really good set starts.
Yep, and he also did what he was brought in to do: high ball, offloads to Tedesco. Yes, it was called forward. That was dubious.
Yep.
It was or wasn't. So it'd be so harsh on Tupou to drop him.
Yep,
but
just want to throw it up there.
Yeah, no, but I think with Fox, the energy he brings off the field as well.
Yeah.
So I would honestly strongly consider bringing the Fox back in, even though Tupou gives no reason why he shouldn't be in that side.
Get him in the 22 and just...
that's...
Fire the boys up.
Fire the boys up. Get some energy. But Tigers versus Doggies, who are we going in?
I'm on the Dogs. I'm backing the Doggies.
Okay, 2 in a row, Doggies.
Yeah, I'm going to back them home.
Bulldogs haven't won consecutive games since 2019.
They're going to do it in 2022.
Oh, big call there. Big call from Smithy.
Get on it.
Now, we've got some text here. Smithy, with Foz coming to the Titans next year, how does that affect or work with Brimson Campbell with the fullback position if they have bought Foz to partner Sexton in the halves?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. It's almost like the situation at Melbourne last year, where you had Pappenhausen, Hughes, Munster, and Nico Hines.
Yes. Good
You know what I
point.
mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So Nico Hines, he was used as a bit of a utility, like a play in the halves, but play fullback as well. But he was never going to take that spot of.
Yeah.
So one of those players obviously has to move. I don't think. Well, Foz, when you recruited to a club, he's going to play 6, I'd say. Jaden Campbell fit, he plays 1. So it's really who goes as the half pairing to Foz, or do you give Foz maybe the 7?
See, I would give Foz the 7
and say, mate, you're the organiser, you run the side.
Yep.
And you say AJ Brimson keeps 6.
I think so.
But then where does that leave Toby Sexton?
Look, I think Sexton, you could either, develop his forward, as in, put him at 14 and you bring him on to just, learn a bit more. But also, he's still really young. You put him back in New South Wales Cup for a while and let him just play his trade, learn it. At the moment, Sexton's a really interesting case study because he plays 20 minutes. He actually has the most forced dropouts by a substantial margin.
He does. No, he does, mate. It's huge. His individual repeat set stat is bigger than some teams.
It's
like
crazy.
Combined.
Yeah, crazy.
He's got like 16 or 17.
Yeah, it's massive. And he does it regularly. The concern, though, is that he has 20 to 30 minutes, really, really good footy, confident.
Yep.
And then for some reason, when the momentum shifts or something changes, he really struggles to get himself back into the game and just wrangle it, control back under.
Yep.
And I wonder whether a little bit of time either. Well, it's going to be interesting because if he spends a whole preseason with Foz,
yes,
that may be enough.
Well, this is what I was just about to toss up to you. It might be a similar situation like a Chad Townsend with a Tom Dearden at the Cowboys this year.
Absolutely.
So you bring Foz up and say, mate, take this bloke under your wing.
Yeah.
Guide him through the preseason.
Yep.
Teach him about consistency and getting the best out of himself and coming up with smart plays. The right plays at the right time. Talk about kicking and a game plan around that to make sure that that's consistent within the 80 minutes that he plays. And then you've got Jaden Campbell at 1, and then you find another spot. You find a spot for AJ somewhere, maybe in the centres.
Yeah, is he big enough for a centre, you reckon? I mean, he rips in. Yeah. I mean, if you're big enough for 6, you're big enough for centre.
Yeah, and he's a powerful. We've seen he can hold his own.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you consider?
I tell you what, if he's not big enough, he's certainly fast enough.
Oh, absolutely.
So if he loses a little bit to the opposite centre in size, he makes up with speed.
I wonder what Primo would be like as a 9. I know that sounds crazy, and it is crazy, but like him out of dummy half with that speed.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's just a random thought that's coming to my head. But yeah, centre. Sorry about that, guys. You didn't need to hear that.
Well, they got options.
Yeah, for sure. And which is, I just wish Sexton had Fogarty to teach him this year. But anyway, you can't change that. So who are we going this week? With the Titans, you would go, at the moment right now, would you go Foz 7, Sexton 6?
Yeah, I think so.
1?
Yep.
Yeah, I think that'd be a pretty good matchup, actually. Now, we're going to head to a break. Give us a call if you want, 1300 01 1170, or text us 0457 736 736, and we'll answer your text after the break.
Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith and myself. Thanks to SEN 1170 in Sydney, 1620 on the Gold Coast, 1053 in Brisbane, and 693 SENQ. But we've got some text here, Smithy. Got some text.
Yeah, what have we got, mate?
Now, we've got, g'day, boys. Enjoy the show every week. What are your thoughts on Justin Holbrook? Do you guys think it's a coaching issue or attitude issue with the roster? Can't see why the Mighty Maroons next week here. Can't wait to see the Mighty Maroons next week here in Perth.
Oh, Braden from Perth. You going to the match, mate? I hope so.
Surely.
Yeah, surely he's going. He's got some tickets.
Mate.
Big stadium. Can't wait. No, look, there's every player I speak to that has been involved with the Titans have huge raps on Justin Holbrook. So I'd suggest it's not a coaching issue. I think they're just struggling to get it right on the field.
Yeah.
And as we spoke about, we've seen it with our own eyes. Like they can play really competitive football against the best sides. And in the same match, play their worst footy and just implode. So, I think the players just need to really sort that out and just get a little bit more consistency about themselves. But good question, Braden. Hope to see you at the game next week, next Sunday week.
How exciting!
Game 2 in Perth. But that was a bomb That was a 400-yarder. Can anyone hit 400 yards? Except for the big drivers, the long drivers. That was a big 400-yard bomb with a tailor-made TP5. The ball that beats the number one ball in golf.
It beats the number one ball. Beats the number one ball.
Yep.
Goes from number 2 to number 1.
Yes, but still beats the number one. Tailor-made TP5. Get around it. Go down and get them from all the good golf shops. Or just online at TaylorMade.
Now we've got some more text here. Just with the Holbrook situation as well, you have to remember yes, it is a down year. It is absolutely a down year for the Titans. There's no denying that. You can't sugarcoat it.
Yep.
But as a club, this is the strongest position they've been in a very, very long time, in my opinion. And you have to give credit where credit's due. He has helped put together these young players and this young team.
Yep.
And so, I don't think he's under pressure for his job yet. I think he should be given substantial amount of time to keep these boys together and build something special.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a club on a whole, they're doing some great things up there. They're building their business, Kempy. As we've seen this year, they had a team enter in the NRLW, so they've got a women's team now in the
knocked off the Broncos.
National competition, beat the Broncos.
Yeah,
played in the finals, which was great. They've just entered a netball side.
Oh wow!
In the Queensland, so it's sort of like the competition below the national comp.
Yeah,
the national netball competition in Australia. They play in a Queensland comp, so I think they're looking to maybe enter a side in the national competition, a bit like the Sunshine Coast Lightning with their association with the Melbourne Storm.
Yeah, okay,
a bit like that, and Collingwood Magpies with the Collingwood Magpies AFL club.
Yeah,
a bit like that. So. They're doing some wonderful things up there as far as the franchise and the organisation is concerned. They just the footy side just needs to get out there and bag a few more wins.
Absolutely. Now, after the break, we'll wrap up the show and share our final tips for round 15. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. What a show it's been. Thank you all for listening, but we're going to get into our tips really quickly. Smithy, we got the Dragons v. the Rabbitohs. Who you got, mate?
I've got Dragons. Macca's 300s, and they're playing at home.
Okay. We've got the Seagulls, Cowboys.
Cows too strong.
Okay. Storm versus Broncos.
I'm going the Storm, boys.
Oh, no.
Come on, who are you going?
Oh, Broncos, obviously.
Okay.
A bit of value there. Paying $5.50, guys.
I just needed that on record.
Sharkies, Titans.
Titans. I'm going the Titans at Coffs.
You're too loyal, Smith. They're going to break your heart, mate. They're going to break your heart.
Boys.
You're too loyal,
They're
mate.
They're going to lift, I'm telling you.
You're too loyal for your own good.
Tino Fa'asuamaleaui, man of the match.
Now, Warriors are paying $10 against the Panthers.
No, Penrith.
Wow.
Penrith. Can I just
$1.05.
I'm backing Penrith against every team for the rest of the year except for Melbourne.
Wow, that's a big call. I like it. Now we've got the Eels versus the Roosters.
Eels, bounce back.
Raiders, Knights.
The Raiders at home. Yep.
Doggies, Tigers.
And the Dogs, I'm on the bandwagon.
You're on.
2 in a row
back
since
to back, 2019.
There you go.
That's thanks to SEN 1170 in Sydney, SEN 1620 on the Gold Coast, 1053 in Brisbane, and soon will be via 693 SENQ. Thanks, guys, for listening. Go to the podcast and follow us on Apple and Spotify, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.